Hey there, Nocturnes. Welcome back to another episode of Surviving College. I'm Jeremy, a senior high school teacher here in the Philippines. Right now, I want to talk about setting proper boundaries as a follow up on what I discussed regarding saying no at work. Okay, saying no may get you in trouble if you don't time it well. Therefore, you need to learn how to do it at the right time, of course. But in order to do that, sometimes you need to say something that is in between yes and no. And that is what we call wait, or I'll stay until this time or that. So this episode basically is about setting boundaries. Okay? So aside from setting no, saying no is actually one of the ways to set boundaries. And there are many ways of doing so. And we set boundaries first and foremost because we want to conserve our physical energy, our mental energy, our energy as a human being, our life force. We think that we can have it all and do it all, but actually, our resources are just as limited as money. I'm talking about physical resources, our mental resources, our personal energy. It is as limited as money. Therefore, we have to conserve it. And to conserve it, we have to be purposeful about where we allocate it for. So, here are some tips as to how you can set proper boundaries without being too strict with yourself and others. So, first of all, you have to determine the start and end time of everything that you do. If you have a pending deadline and you are going to allocate the time for each step to accomplish that aim, okay, you time backwards. So you start with the due date and then distribute it backwards. If the deadline is on the 30th, then you start with the last step. So until what time are you giving yourself to uh, to do the last step of the process? So if it's a paper, if the deadline of the paper is on the 30th, then you determine until when are you giving yourself time to make final revisions on the paper. Perhaps if the deadline is at night on the 30th, then maybe you can give yourself until morning on the same day. And then once you've determined that, okay, so that's your final cutoff, what about the second to the last cutoff? Let's see what you're going to do on the 29th, the night before. So which step should you be on that at that time? Okay, so they call that uh, plotting backwards. And based on experience, it is actually the method which ensures accurate distribution of time. And not just accurate, but reasonable. You have to give yourself adequate time for preparation. So that's the next tip. When you budget your time, when you set boundaries, be reasonable with the amount. Have reasonable measurement. And how can you do that? Provide allowance. Don't be too exact with the number of minutes that you give yourself. If the activity itself has takes around 5 minutes to do, then maybe you can give yourself 10 minutes. The excessive 5 minutes is for any difficulty that comes your way. For instance, uploading your paper to whichever repository you are to upload it to. If it just takes you 5 minutes, maybe you'd like to give yourself a 10-minute allowance in case you might have internet difficulties you won't expect or any distraction along the way. All right, that's what I do, and it actually helps me manage my expectations for myself and keeps me from burning myself out. So there you go. So that those are some of the practical ways you can set proper boundaries. determine your start and end times, and put some allowance in your time budget. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with people who have something to say about this. I'll see you on the next episode. So till then, continue surviving in the dark.